Imagine being spun to death. Is it even possible to be spun around so fast that you can actually die? Yes, it's true. Think of astronauts when they're in their testing and they go around and around and they're testing G-forces. Well, I'm going to tell you a true life story about a woman that was almost spun to death. I've been talking about stories lately on Paiesto Peak, which is in Phoenix, Arizona, and all the legends and spooky stories going on there. But I've got to share this true story because to me, even though it's a real life medical story, it's probably one of the spookiest stories I know of from Paiesto Peak. So imagine it's a beautiful day out and you're in your 70s, you've got time on your hands to, just enjoy nature and go on a beautiful hike. But then all of a sudden you trip and you get hurt and there you are and you kind of need help rescuing. And thank God we have cell phones. We can call 911. It's, we have wonderful paramedics and firefighters here in Phoenix that will come to your rescue despite, the risk of injury to themselves. So one day, that's exactly what happened. A woman here in Phoenix, Arizona, fell and was injured on the trail, called for rescue, and the team arrived. So in a helicopter rescue in general, they have a basket. It's kind of like a gurney inside of basket. You've probably seen it if you've watched helicopter rescues before. And we'll put the patient in a basket, strap them down really well so they're not going to fling out in case there's strong wind. It's almost like you're wrapped like a mummy into this gurney, into the basket. It's attached to the rope, and it just winds right back up to the helicopter and then whisks you off to the hospital. Well, of course, that's what everyone imagined would happen, but that's not what happened. The rescue started. And the woman was put in the gurney in the basket. And I'm going to show you the footage in just a second. But she was put in the gurney. Everything was fine. They got her strapped in safely. And then all hell broke loose. And I'm going to show you this. Before I show you this footage right here, this is why this is so critical. Now, this was an accident. It was a mistake. This was not intentional. And really, one of the dangers of helicopter rescues is they try to make it as safe as possible. But, physics comes into play. And helicopter rescues, they practice these, there's training, but the risk of rotation is real because how the basket and the gurney spins is in relation to the forces that the propellers are putting on the wind there too. And so the helicopter moves, you've got a wire, it's going to move too. But, they practice it enough, it's usually not an issue. What also is the risk of being swung around or spun or even on a fast roller coaster. It's really why I can't go to amusement parks and ride roller coasters. I'm over 50. I'm not going to risk the spinal cord injury or the neck injury or getting a concussion or a whiplash injury. I used to do it when I was young. I'm just not doing it anymore. My time for roller coasters and my time is over for that one. But the risk of really being spun out of control is brain injury, and it can happen in 3 different ways. So we have rotational forces, impact of the brain, and fluid in the inner ear. So what happens with rotational forces, and that's why this footage is going to be so horrific when I show you this, because you're going to understand what's going on with this patient. The spinning actually can cause the forces that twist and break brain cells. Yeah, can actually damage your brain. Then the movement or the brain is like a whiplash injury. The brain is literally bouncing and twisting inside of the skull. And you've got the blood swishing back and forth. So you literally can have damage inside of the skull. And then fluid in the inner ear. So when you're spinning around, like on a roller coaster or not really a ski lift, but you get the point, like a swing. Once you stop spinning, the fluid in your inner ear is still spinning, but it makes your brain think you're still spinning, but in the opposite direction. So it can cause disorientation, and if someone tries to get up, they can actually fall and get hurt. So all these are risks in that type of injury. I also worry about, anytime, I'm pushed or moved forcefully, or, if you're in a car and it swerves, it really does hurt your back because as you may know, we get a little bit more kind of fragile as we get older. it's just what it is. So I think I've done a pre-explanation well enough. I'm going to show you this footage right now. I've got to cue it up here, and I'm going to put it here up on the screen because I want to kind of explain what's going on. Let me start it from the beginning here. Hold on. Let's go back to the beginning. We're going to go back to here. Okay, go. Okay. Try to play this here. Is that at the end? Yeah, we're going to start. I'm going to start here just so you can kind of see like, oh, everything's fine and well. Let me see if I can make sure there's not a glare. It's not spinning too much. Okay, there's like a little bit of spinning there. Now, mind you, the patient inside that red strap gurney is in her 70s. She's in her mid-70s. Try to straighten this out. Okay, it's spinning a little bit faster. They're like, whoa. And you see the rescue crew right there at the side. Their faces are a little obscured right now with shadow, so you can't quite see the horrific look on their face. I mean, believe me, they are freaking out right now. Look at that. Do you know that basket? Look at how fast that's going. Now, that ended up spinning and rotating more than 200 times. Look at that. Trying to give you as clear as the view is. Look at that. How many times? Could you imagine? I'd be screaming in that thing. I hope she passed out. Look at that. It's still going. Now, they're trying to see if we fly it to a different area. Can we get a hold of it? The good news is she did survive that, and she was able to be airlifted to the hospital. They checked her out. This is public record, so I did a little research. It looked like she did get a little bit of a spinal injury and some hopefully minor brain injuries. I didn't go too deep into the research. But to me, that is more horrific and scary than any of the legends and the creature sighting, the cryptid sightings, and the ghost story from Payastoa Peak. I think that is the most horrific story. How do you avoid that? Well, you know, they train, but I kind of think if I ever have to have a helicopter rescue and it's not in the ocean, I'm going to say, you know, can I hop down on one leg or one foot? Because I am never going to go in a basket like that. Like, that is my worst nightmare besides being in an ocean with sharks. That's my worst nightmare. But the good news is she did survive that. But I just wonder, what if there was a storm going on or that kept spinning? You literally, I mean, that could cause a fatality. You can literally get spun to death. So I thought I would share that as far as like not just spooky, but real life medical stories that are just as mysterious in this area. I thank you for being here. Please leave a comment below on what you thought about that. And if you even have had heard of that story before. That happened a few years ago. And if you like this type of content, please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't yet already, and I will see you on the next one.